This past week has been intensely busy and just full of change. And I feel like that that got me thinking a little bit yesterday as I was crying mentally, um, and physically before going to work yesterday. I just thought, holy crap, like this is something like am I shedding something? Am I unaware of what's going on like with my aura? Like is there a door opening that I don't know about? Um, but change, personal growth is what we're talking about today on this podcast, on the Life of Buzzed Hair Mama podcast. And I thought, what a better way to do this episode than just kind of explain how this whole podcast came to be. Um, because it took a long time for me to build up the confidence to say I am actually ready for this chapter of my life where I'm able to be in front of a camera or I'm able to pick up a mic and just kind of talk. It was never like this. Um, but anyway, anybody that's new here, welcome. My name is Raquel. I am a mom of two boys. I live in Canada, and this is my podcast. For those who are returning, shout out to you guys. You guys are the real MVPs. Like, I adore you guys for always listening to my episodes and just giving me critiques and, the positive feedback about, things that either have happened in my life or have resonated with yours. And that's all about what we're doing here. Uh, Personal growth. Okay, let's get into personal growth. As an individual, it took me a while to understand how I was, you know, transforming into this person that I am today. A lot of things factor into it, but um, the Life of a Bust Hair Mama podcast was literally just written down on a piece of paper, and I had gone, through so much in my life that I thought, what a better way to actually have an outlet to talk and speak to people. Um, I I remember turning to my husband and to a couple people actually, and just saying, "Hey, I think I want to do a podcast. I want to do something specific to, you know, a nonprofit organization, and that's still in the works. Like I'm still trying to brainstorm that option, but if not the starting a nonprofit, I want to actually put something out on all social media platforms that I know can reach, an audience that can sit through whatever 30, 50 minutes of me talking and enjoy the conversation. I know not all the time are my subjects, what you guys want to hear, but at least I know that I'm putting myself out there. And this comes through a lot of self confidence. Self confidence is knowing how well you are able to perform. And I know that I had my ideas, I had my stories, and I had my way of telling things. And that is why I thought the best way to move into this chapter of this podcast was in fact starting this podcast. Um I don't know if my family, like I know some of my immediate family listens to it, but I don't know if my extended family listens to this. But if you are, shout out to you because you guys have played an important role in my life. And this is exactly what I wanted to start is just, a momentum where people can reach back out to me and say, "Hey, you're doing a great job." Okay, going back to self-confidence. So what triggers a self-confident person? Um, my subjects, my personal experience, and knowledge of what I was able to portray through these videos. I knew for a fact that as I continued to learn through my life, I was able to mature as a person. I was able to experience, I was able to feel, and I was able to resonate with other people about what we call life today. Life has thrown me such curveballs. And not only is this in the personal life, but also in the work life. We're going through some changes. I think that for the most part, because what I knew 16 years ago, because that's to the day tomorrow, to this day, is that the word? To this day, March 30th of 2008, I started as an 18-year-old girl in the position that I am today at work. I am a part of an administrative team that puts a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears into what we do. Uh, but knowing how much of an impact I've made, and how much I've embraced change. I'm not going to say that I fully embraced change because it's scary to know, what's going to happen with me in the long run. But to understand that I have evolved with the times is 100% a success rate for me when it comes to personal growth. It took me a while because when my whole life structure, or what I've been taught to do in my life, it's always been, well, you have to go study something that you know you will make money off of. And for that fact, when you graduate, you can buy yourself that $1 million house, or you can buy yourself that BMW or that, expensive car, and also take care of your family. That's always been my mindset because that's what I've been told. That's what my parents essentially told me. Um, I think I mentioned my mom graduated as an architect, and my dad, he didn't finish high school, or maybe he did. Um, but they wanted the best for us three kids. So when I actually ventured off into like the college aspect of things, I went into pharmaceuticals. One of my uncles is big in well, he's known in that to be in that industry. But coming back, or the background of our family is engineers. So, to hear that, ingeniero or ingeniera Raquel is something that both my parents initially wanted. So when I went into pharmaceuticals and I started putting in the work for the first year, mentally at 18, you are not ready for what's to come. You are taught that you have to pay these big sums of money to go to school in order to get an education. But mine was totally opposite because I know that I had help with my education to get to where I am today. And I think I might have let go, or we might have lost some money because I didn't go back to school. But what I wanted to say is education sometimes is beneficial. And I keep saying it to this day, knowledge is power, because I for one, am still learning with specific things in my job, like the Indigenous people of Canada. I, for one, am now opening that third eye that everybody says we have to certain subjects. For example, like the treaties, the land acknowledgements at work. I am now understanding why we need to acknowledge what land we are on today. Or for that matter, how to properly address somebody in, the Indigenous people of Canada all around. Um, but because I tried and I wasn't mentally there to fulfill what my parents' dream was, and never let that be a burden on you. I'm going to say that now. My parents are very influential to me. They are very, they are very much my rocks. I know I complain, but if something isn't working for you, like going to a university or a college, maybe it's a sign that you need to evaluate what does work for you. Um, for personal reasons, I didn't end up finishing, I went to Seneca at York, so I didn't finish my pharmaceuticals. And I feel like it was a good decision for me not to, because as I went through life, I went to, for example, the CDI college, or the colleges that are very much known for the hands-on, because I needed to know what to expect in the workforce, in the workplace. And because I ended up going down that route, I feel like that's why I have become successful with my personal growth. Because I think the aspect of it all, I might have gone to Conestoga College too for like medical transcription. So my medical background history is there. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, um, but I did learn certain qualities that I have been able to bring over into where I am today. I think I did phlebotomy, like the people that work at the labs to take blood. I did that and I was successful, although I didn't pass like, how everybody has their own licensing tests. I didn't pass that test. So that was like, that was it for me. Like I didn't go back to it. I don't even know if I can go back to it, to tell you the truth, but I was good. I was good. And I passed that course. And I know some people say, well, it's like an easy, 3-month course. So of course you're going to pass it. But no, I did. I passed it because I genuinely was interested in my personal growth to become somebody that is able to be impactful in a community, in society. Um, Even my parents were on board. They're like, oh man, like, yeah, now I can go to you to take my blood. And although looking back at it now, because I did try to get a job in that industry, it's hard. It was hard. And I think majority of the positions were only offering like a part-time or a casual part-time position. And, now that we walk into like the life labs and things like that, I see how stressed they are. I definitely see like the lab techs so stressed because I don't know what it is about people and how they are impatient. So as I transition from the phlebotomy into medical assistant, because that's the next um, course that I ended up taking, or it went side and side with the phlebotomy. So medical assistant was also a part of our course. And I started noticing a lot of the data entry interested me. I knew I was good at typing on a computer, and I was able to, enter, the numbers and letters. You know how you have the numbers on the left side or your right side? Yes, right side of your keyboard. I was like, oh man, like I like this. I like this. But one thing is to actually enjoy something, and another thing is to actually know that you're doing it right. So when I actually ended up transitioning into the job I'm at today, I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way because as a person, I had to learn to go back and to revise my things and to double check and make sure that even though in my head I thought I was doing the right thing, realistically, was I actually comprehending what it was that they needed? So being 18 in a brand new industry, well, I shouldn't say in a brand new industry because it is considered health industry. Travel, healthcare, nursing requires a lot of data information. And because I was so young, and obviously I think at one point my mentality was, oh, I have the job, I'm here, the paycheck is good. What ethic do I have to succeed in this industry? Uh, and this is kind of why it's important to understand, do you have the ethic to complete, the research that goes into a podcast or actually sitting here and recording yourself? It took me some time to build up my skills. That's another thing, goals. So one of my goals was how to improve my skills. A lot of the mentorship that I have gotten have been with people that are very confident about themselves. And I think it's almost molded me into a person that I can now say, how much do you really want to, want to succeed in something that is so simple and that is so easy? What work and dedication goes behind it? One of my skills that I encountered that was lacking in a sense was researching what it was I needed to do and going back and reading, for example, like a simple email or understanding what the email meant. I, for one, never ask questions. I felt like asking questions that made me look stupid. That made me look dumb because in my head, the response from like a boss, let's say, or a team member, or, a friend that I knew, they would look at me and be like, it's the most simplest thing. Like, why are you even asking this? That in itself, it drained a lot of my mental energy when it came to a big, let's say, a big school project, or let's say an important task in the administration portion of what I do today. What I got better at was notes, taking notes and just reading them whenever I had to do something. Because obviously, when you are in an industry that's so repetitive, when it comes to, um, creating files and documenting things, you engrave that in your head and it slowly becomes a practice for you. And and I still have them today. Like if I show you my notebooks, they're full of notes. But these notes have eventually helped me in my personal growth. Where if asked a question, or if I'm actually able to pull up an email and just say, "Hey, this is what exactly it is we need to do," and the instructions are here. Or, for example, like a simple Excel sheet. I hate Excel. Like Excel is the worst thing for me. But learning how to formulate and populate an Excel sheet, I can now physically say I'm 100% certified in doing that because I was able to keep myself in a routine of constantly checking, if I was doing these things right. Gradually in my personal growth, I did start asking questions. In your mind, you have to understand that, fuck, it's a question. You don't look stupid. You don't, you may not understand 100% of the things that may be happening in front of you. But if it's for you to be better at something, then ask all the questions in the world. And I gradually started breaking through that because it was definitely a boundary for me. And I am very thankful that now in 2024, I can tell you this, and it's not because I'm trying to toot my horn or just, try to be better than anybody else. I am, I've been told that the impact that I've had because of my skills and my knowledge in the workforce, that I am 100% somebody that has, hit the ground running and provided a great impact to who I am today. So that work ethic, I started incorporating it into my subjects. And because I knew how much of my journey, my cancer journey, had impacted me, I wanted to share that with the world and let them know that, if there's anybody out there that would be greatly misunderstood, that you weren't alone. Because a lot of the time, I, again, did not understand what was happening to me while I was dealing with my cancer. I I think the what I was mentioning about how I didn't ask questions hindered a little bit of my capability to do more of these podcasts when it comes to the topic of cancer, uh, because in a way, I don't want to call myself lucky, but in a way, like I dodged, for example, the chemotherapy, the radiation. I don't understand what it is to go through those two topics, but I have heard and I have seen what it is that happens when a cancer patient does go through, a chemotherapy or a radiation. Oddly enough, the the actual journey of a cancer patient, when you when you're at a vulnerable state and you think, that all this is said and done and this is what's set out for my life, you don't see how much growth you're going through because you're so negatively impacted by the C word, that dreaded C word. You don't see how much you're ripping through chains and becoming another person. And I do talk a lot about, becoming that that second self, that second opportunity at life. Um, because with this personal growth journey of mine, I feel like after cancer, I left that all behind. And I evolved into this strong, confident person that I know for a fact that if my sister or anybody of my family is listening to this, they're going to be like, well, you've always liked the camera. You've always liked to talk. You always took the pictures when you were going clubbing. Like, you've always been exposed to that, but nothing like this, nothing like this. And because I know that the things that I say are on a personal level, maybe the confidence that the person that's listening to this podcast or the person that's watching me through this video can say, damn it, why if she can be confident in herself, why can't I? Why can't I? And that's what I essentially wanted with this Life of a Buzzed-Haired Mama podcast, is that you grow the confidence to be an advocate for yourself, to be a person that says, hey, if she buzzes her hair, why can't I? And that's a big achievement for me because that's something that when I started this whole journey, I put it down in my journal. What is one of my goals? That this will become a reality in the next year. My personal growth has also become teaching myself in a way that I'm able to learn. And for example, if I need to bring that skill out in the future, that I'm able and I'm prepared to actually do that. It's almost like the first time that I went to a CPR class, I was nervous as shit. I did not understand, that I had to do it hands-on. But as I progressed and I went back to recertify, everybody would ask the same question. They would be like, well, are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? Because you seem to know what it is, that we need in a person like that. And to this day, everyone's shocked that I am not in that industry, and that although I possess those qualities, but because I taught myself, I'm just a simple 9-to-5 girl that sits behind a desk and types away at a computer for the majority of the day. Also, teaching yourself things, for example, like how to delete a message on like a phone, or teaching yourself how to fix a tire, because that's another big quality that I need to learn, is how to self-dependently know in an emergency situation, how am I able to get myself out of it. Realistically, if the initiative is there, then why not? Why not teach yourself that? And I also attribute it to, knowledge is power. I think I mentioned that already. But anything, for example, through this whole cancer journey, because we're coming on April, I found an organization over in Cancer Canada, back, I want to say almost 10 years now. And I looked through something that I knew I was able to provide my all in, and that I was able to actually, spread knowledge and understanding of what a female that was a statistic diagnosed with ovarian cancer, was able to, address in such a nonprofit organization. And that's kind of why I started thinking about putting the Life of a Post-Parent Mama as a nonprofit. A lot of work goes into it, but what I'm talking about primarily is that every September there is a walk for um, Ovarian Cancer Canada, and the advocating that goes on. I haven't been 100% on my advocating journey for like the last year. I like when the walk comes up, I do like I 100% put the work and effort into it, but I want to do more in that aspect as well, where I can be, like I've mentioned before, a mentor or an actual um, counselor for somebody that's going through it. I've experienced my whole mentoring when it came to the uterine cancer of it all, because there have been people that have reached out to me and asked me my opinion, and uh, although everybody is different and everybody goes through a different um, I guess medical treatment, I I still try to let them know that your knowledge is power, and that your understanding and education of what um, may be out there for you that they're not necessarily telling you can help you in the long run. And Ovarian Cancer Canada, they are trying to find these ways to detect early signs of ovarian cancer, and also how can somebody with ovarian cancer live a sustainable lifestyle. A lot of the times you do see, and I'm going back to the walk of 2023. I was able to talk to a lot of the it was hard though, I'm going to say that I was able to talk to a lot of the walkers who lost their matriarch. Ooh, I'm going to get emotional. And for me to be there, like a, nobody knows me from a hole in the wall, but for me to be there and just kind of be there and ask them, hey, what do you like? What would you like us to know about your mom or about your grandma or about, that female that's impacted your life? I've never expected in my entire life to be that open with anybody that I have no idea where they're from. But in return, they're able to actually let me know what they are experiencing. And I feel like for the most part, a lot of the people who lose their matriarchs of the family, they've experienced and gone through such a wild ride that everybody would almost respond back to me and say, all they wanted us to do is just keep pushing and keep advocating, because if there's some way, shape, or form that we are able to, fundraise and provide this knowledge to everybody else out there that's being affected, because it's true, a lot of women will be affected with this cancer, not knowing the symptoms and not knowing how young they are or they can be. But if somebody's there to push that word of mouth, then why not? And that's where I was able to learn a lot of, empathy. Empathy in your personal growth, I think, is the most valuable attribute to oneself. Like I said, these people probably were like, who is this chick? Who is this person that's coming up to me and asking me, what my wife did or what my grandma did or what my sister did? But they were all able to see me, a survivor, a fucking survivor that is willing, all hands on deck, to share their story. When you grow that empathy, towards other people, you open that sense of confidence. And I can truly say that anything that has to do with Ovarian Cancer Canada and the people that I meet, that always hits home. 110% of the time, that always hits home. I honestly, I cannot say this enough, but hopefully when more episodes come out and more of you are able to hear this and understand, we have a platform, we have a voice. Don't be scared to shed through that old skin of yours, or don't be scared to voice an opinion. Don't be scared to be known. You have one life to live, and that's the biggest thing. You have life to live, and how are you going to be that impact? How are you going to be known when one day you are long gone? That's what I tell my kids and my husband to this day. If you guys are, anything, God forbid, happens to me, you guys are able to spread my story and spread my awareness. Hey, and even take on this Life of a Buzzterrier Mama podcast on for me. There's so much love. There's so much love for this community, and I'm eternally grateful for what I'm able to speak about. And as this podcast is, it's still fresh in my head, I do want to let you guys know that if you put so much love into something like this podcast, I'm sure you're able to find what personal growth can come out of it. And I will end it this way. If there is anything in life that can make you a better person, is understanding that you need to be happy with yourself. And it's understanding that you need to understand that you have such a support system around you that never wants to see you fail. And with that, I wish you guys a happy Easter weekend. In Canada, we are on a Good Friday, so it's technically a long weekend for us. And if you're listening to this podcast again, I just thank you for everything that you guys have done for me. Just listening, even 5 seconds of this is an immense gratitude towards you guys. And until the next one, I am logging off, wishing you guys again all the best this Easter holiday, and love you so much. Take care.